Social media has become a big, integral part of our lives. A platform to share moments, connect with friends, and even make new ones. I was no exception. I loved posting updates about my life, sharing photos of my favorite spots, and interacting with people online. It felt like a harmless extension of my social circle. But little did I know how quickly things can turn into something unsettling. One moment you're sharing a snapshot of your day, and the next, well, you are about to find out. This happened during my freshman year of college. I was 18 and had just moved to a new city for school. Being new to the area and eager to make friends, I was pretty active on social media. I had a public Twitter account where I often shared my thoughts, pictures of my new campus, and little updates about my life. But mostly I used Snapchat for that, posting stories throughout the day about where I was and what I was doing. One evening, I decided to explore downtown after classes. I found this cozy-looking cafe, not far away from my home. It had warm, dim lighting, and a small crowd of people quietly chatting or working on their laptops, giving it a relaxed vibe that immediately drew me in. Feeling content, I chose the seat by the window and snapped a photo of the cafe's charming interior, then immediately posted it to my Snapchat story with the caption, "Found my new favorite spot." I didn't think much of it. Sharing these little moments had become second nature to me. But not even a minute passed when I received a Snapchat message from a username I didn't recognize. The message said, "Hey, I love that place too," followed by a smiley face. I assumed it was one of the many new people I had recently added from orientation events, so I replied, "Yeah, it's great. The coffee here is amazing." The message hadn't properly sent when I got a reply. "Mind if I join you? I'm just around the corner." Something about that made me uneasy. I checked their profile, but their Snap score was low and their Bitmoji didn't reveal much. I replied, "Do I know you?" There was a pause before they answered. "Not yet, but I'd like to change that." That was a red flag. I decided not to reply. What he's even thinking? That's how you meet new people? About 10 minutes later, I heard someone walked in. A man who looked to be in his late 20s. He was wearing a dark hoodie and jeans, and he scanned the room as if looking for someone. My heart started racing when his eyes locked onto me. He smiled and began walking over. I quickly looked down, hoping he was headed somewhere else, but he stopped right in front of my table. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked, already pulling out the chair opposite me. I was caught off guard. I tried to ignore him, but then he said, "I saw your Snap story and figured I'd come say hi," his gaze unwavering. I was confused and a bit scared. "I'm sorry, but do we know each other?" I asked. Not yet. That's when it clicked. This was the person who had messaged me. "Look, I have to go," I said, panicking, but he interrupted me by saying, "No need to rush off. I just want to chat," he said calmly. My mind was racing. How did he find me so quickly? Then I remembered. I had posted the photo with the cafe's distinctive interior, making it easy to identify if you were familiar with the area. I cursed myself for not being more careful. "I really have to meet a friend," I lied, standing up. He stood up as well, blocking my path. "Come on, man, don't be rude. I came all this way to see you," he said, his tone becoming more insistent. The other patrons in the cafe were either engrossed in their own conversations or staring at their laptops. No one seemed to notice what was happening. Feeling trapped, I decided to make a scene in hopes of drawing attention. "Please move," I said loudly, hoping someone would look over. He leaned in closer and whispered, "You're making this harder than it needs to be." Panic set in. I just froze and didn't know what to do. Finally, the barista looked up and called out, "Is everything okay?" I rushed over to the counter while he was distracted. "This man is bothering me," I said, my voice shaking. The barista, a tall guy in his 20s, stepped around the counter. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave," he said firmly. The man glared at me before slowly backing away. "This isn't over," he muttered as he walked out of the cafe. I felt a mix of relief and lingering fear. The barista asked if I was all right and offered to call the police. I declined, thinking it was overreacting. He insisted on walking me to my car or wherever I was headed next. I thanked him and accepted. As we stepped outside, I looked around nervously, half expecting the man to be lurking nearby. The barista introduced himself as Alex, and we chatted briefly. He walked me to the bus stop. I appreciated his kindness, but my mind was elsewhere. I replied the events that had just unfolded. What had he wanted from me? When I got back to my dorm, I decided to make all my social media accounts private. I went through my follower lists, removing anyone I didn't personally know. I thought that would be the end of it. However, later that night, I received another Snapchat message from a new username. "You can't hide from me," it said. My stomach dropped. How was he still able to contact me? Then I realized that even though I had made my accounts private, my username was still searchable. I blocked the account and decided to report the incident to campus security the next morning. They took down all the information and advised me to be cautious. They also suggested I report it to the local police, which I did. The police took my statement, but said there wasn't much they could do unless he made a direct threat or attempted to contact me again. Feeling unsettled, I tried to go about my daily routine, but I was constantly looking over my shoulder. A few days passed without incident, and I started to relax, thinking maybe he had given up. Then one evening, as I was studying in the campus library, I received a text message from an unknown number. It was a photo of me, taken from the side, sitting at my table in the library. The caption read, "Found you." My hands started shaking uncontrollably. He was here. I turned around, but there was no one. I immediately packed up my things and headed to the nearest security desk in the library. I showed the guard the message and the photo. They took it seriously this time and called the police. The library was placed on a brief lockdown as officers searched for the man. It took them an hour to find a man that was matching the description, lurking in one of the stairwells. It was the same man from the cafe. He was detained and found to have multiple photos of me on his phone, along with other unsettling content. I pressed charges for harassment and stalking. It turned out he had a history of similar offenses, but had somehow managed to avoid significant legal consequences until now. The whole experience was terrifying and taught me a hard lesson about online privacy. I realized how easily I had made myself a target by oversharing on social media. Even innocent posts can give away more information than you intend.